All right. Welcome, Donna Jacobs. I am so excited that you are here again on the Inspiration series to shed some incredible insight and wisdom with this community. Welcome, Donna. Thank
Well, my
you.
pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jody. That's
And
great.
Donna is a wealth of knowledge. She has been a psychologist in the city for over 43 years.
That doesn't age me very much. How can that be? Yes, okay.
And Donna is just such a wealth of knowledge. And what we're talking about today is a topic which really is so important right now, is the challenge that the last year with this crazy pandemic and what that has done specifically to couples. And I really want Donna to share what she's seen in the last year in her own practice, what challenges have come up, and then also possibly some solutions. So let's start, Donna. I'm going to let you take it right away. Just
Okay. So
start wherever you want.
what we know is that the pandemic has had a profound effect on intimate relationships. Profound effect. Some for better and some for worse.
Interesting.
Yes, yes. So think about what a good relationship has. Okay, what does a good relationship have? People have good skills. They have good boundaries. They have good cooperation. They have empathy. They have understanding. They don't take things personally. They have good de-escalation skills.
Can
I
you
mean,
can you elaborate on the skills? What do you mean by good skills in a marriage?
okay, so skills are all of those things. They're not there. I mean, I'm going to go into where the trouble spots are, but
Okay.
good skills are I'm able to hear, I'm able to listen, I'm able to not take it personally, I'm able to not get defensive, I'm able, when the temperature's rising, to start to bring it down. I'm not adding into the escalation,
Okay.
right? So all of those things and empathy. And my concept of RAV, I may have talked about it with you before, Jody, is recognition, acknowledgement, validation. And I've broken that down as to what that is. Couples who RAV do well because once you're empathized with and validated, recognized, acknowledged, validated, the temperature goes down. So those are the good skills, and couples who have that do better. So
Okay.
now put them in a situation where they are sequestered with each other 24/7 and they have some cracks and crevices in their relationship already. Trust me that the negativity and the problems are going to find their way right into the cracks and crevices.
Mhm.
Couples who do well, and I'm going to talk about stressors in general, but couples who know how to navigate can navigate a pandemic because it's another external stressor, which I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, couples who are in trouble, and not just pandemic, but couples who are in trouble do things like they have standoffs, they blame, they yell, they escalate, they name call, they kitchen sink. Right? Kitchen sink is when I'm talking about this, and I always say, stay on the tree trunk. There's so many branches, right? And all of a sudden, I'm saying, I was really upset that you showed up so late and you didn't call. Well, last week we didn't. Well, no, what do you mean last week I didn't? I was told you I was with my mother. Why are we over here on the branch? Let's come back. Okay. So kitchen sinking, yes, butting. I mean, these are all I always say this is my least favorite, but a lot of them are my least favorites. Yes, but. What is that? Yes, but. So you've said something. I'm not even listening to you because I'm creating my response in my head. I don't care what you say. I'm just waiting for your gums to stop flapping so I can come in. Sulking, defensiveness, criticism, contempt, stonewalling. Some of those are John Gottman's and Julie Gottman's Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. But those are really bad skills. And couples who use those kinds of things can probably get away with it to some extent if you're not caught in a pandemic 24/7 together.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the couples who come for therapy, and we can figure it out. And remember, couples had their own lives, right? They had their own friends, they had their own activities, they weren't 24/7, they could diffuse things, they could go somewhere, they could leave the house. Very different in this pandemic. So that's why I'm saying a relationship with cracks and crevices in it, the trouble spots are going to be filled immediately in these kinds of situations. This is unprecedented. We've never lived through this.
I have a question. and I know we're talking about couples and we're focusing on couples. I'm not going to detour, but you said something profound. You said couples that have the positive skills are thriving,
Well, they're
or they're
doing
doing
okay.
better,
Yes.
and couples who don't have the skills or the tools and are doing the things that you just mentioned are not. Would
Yes.
you also say that individuals who have those skills are also doing better in general through the pandemic versus individuals who don't? I just wanted you to comment for a second on
Okay, so I love that, and folks, whoever's listening, that wasn't scripted, but we'll
that.
talk about that next.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to you.
Not to divert from the couples.
No, it is. It's the same thing,
Okay.
because let me say that my whole practice is around external circumstances. Life throws us stuff every day. We didn't expect the magnitude of COVID-19. We did not expect this pandemic. Okay. But life has stressors, be it the death of a parent, God forbid the death of a child with, who's diagnosed on the spectrum, illness, unemployment, right? Homeschooling, isolation, a child gets arrested, an addiction, you name it.
Yeah.
Those are all external stressors. So be it a couple or be it individuals, COVID is an external stressor.
Yep.
Right? It's a huge one, but it's really no different. It's something out there that causes us to react.
Yep.
So I talk a lot in my self-integration model that the external situations are always there and life's going to be throwing them at us, be it we are a couple or an individual. When we understand that we have choices as to how to filter any event, we can move through. Part of my model is the 6-step healing, and I think we talked about it at one of our.
Yeah. Can you repeat that? Because to me, that's everything. I need you to repeat what you just said.
The whole thing? I mean, part of it? Okay.
Yes.
So,
About when we understand that we have choice.
okay. So
That's
COVID is an external stressor like any of the other stuff that happens in our lives.
Yep.
Correct? Okay. It's a huge one. It's an external stressor. We are equipped with all the parts to filter that in a positive way so that we can manage it,
Yep.
or we have all the parts to filter it in a negative way, which is going to cause problems for us individually.
Yes.
Depression, anxiety, indulgence. Only bad things happen to me. How come I'm the only one who got COVID, right? Oh my God, I've touched something. What's going to happen? That can be individual, but that also can be applied to couples.
Mm-hmm.
So once we understand that we are equipped with the parts necessary to bring us off the ledge, that's why we're therapists, right? We know how to bring people off the ledge and provide them with skills.
Yep.
So be it a couple or an individual, COVID is an external stressor.
Yep.
Okay? And it appears that marriages are particularly on the brink because there's two people involved, right? And the stress of the pandemic becomes the breaking point.
Okay.
So
I did what I really loved about what you said that I wanted to illuminate again was that the external circumstance doesn't have to impact so much how we live and how we interact. What I loved about what you said is it's the filter. And that filter can be modified, correct?
Absolutely. My whole model is about 6 filters, and each filter, if I have perspective and say, I give you an example. I was running today and somebody who was another runner came and passed me and they were breathing on me. And what if I get COVID? And oh my God, and he was too close, right? That's the catastrophizing filter.
Yep.
You want to go there? I promise you're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel upset. You're going to feel immobilized, paralyzed. That's what it will do. But if you choose another filter on what I call the healthy side of the model, and let's say we bring in perspective. You know what, sweetheart? You had your mask on when you were running. And actually, so did he. And he passed you in a nanosecond. And we know from transmission that isn't. So we can calm ourselves down. But if you want to use the catastrophizing filter, we know where that leads. Mm-hmm. So we are, that's why I love, I'm not here to promote my model. That's why I love my model, because we are equipped with the parts necessary to make us feel happy, relaxed, calm, depressed, anxious, fearful. Choose.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love it. And then how do we, so individuals who have these skills pre-pandemic are coping, better. We didn't say thriving, but coping more empowered. And what if in a couple situation, one person has the skills?
Jody, we haven't practiced this. Don't say this. I sort of feel she's like, okay, go ahead.
I just hear that question a lot, even in my own groups, right? Like I'm always teaching people these skills as well, and they're really growing and they're becoming empowered. And especially over the last year, I find the growth has been immense. And then I'll always get the feedback, but my husband's not doing the work. He doesn't have the skills. He doesn't understand. He takes everything personally. So discuss that.
Okay, so that's exactly where I was going. That one person can really be doing well, can bring themselves off the ledge, can do it, but then they're partnered with somebody who doesn't have the skills, and all those negative things that I mentioned at the top of this time.
Yeah,
they're managing life that way, blaming, being defensive, escalating, all of that. And this person who has the skills can't budge them. And that, my dear, is why every couple therapist in the city is slammed and has wait lists. And I'm not kidding. There is, when I say there's almost not a therapist to be found,
wow.
Nobody I know has room. It has created such a backlog. So that's why many couples, and I'm going to give you some stats. There was an article that just came out in the Montreal Gazette 2 days ago, and it shows what the stats are about people calling for help. Because if you're doing this alone and you're managing life, but then you're sequestered and trapped with a person who has none of these skills, you're going to be calling for couple therapy. Like, help me and help my partner. Help us. We're not doing well. Right. And it happens all the time, because you can have, particularly with COVID, you can have one highly, highly anxious person, right, and another one who's not that anxious, and they have to manage that.
Yeah. Together.
Exactly.
Right. So what are the stats from this article? What did this article talk about?
Really interesting. So this is the Montreal Gazette, published it was February 13th. What's today? The 17th. And it was a survey done to the Ordre des Psychologues du Québec, which is the college in Quebec that I was a member of for years when I lived there. And they said, this is therapists being polled. 44% of respondents reported an increase in clients seeking relationship therapy, couple therapy. 44% of relationship reported an increase. It was the most common reason after anxiety and depression was couples.
Wow.
Okay. And more than 22% of respondents, which is therapists, psychologists, said they noted an increase in breakups, either separation or divorce, which is also something I want to talk about, among clients since the start of the pandemic in March.
And what have you seen?
I have seen a lot of couples not make it.
Can we talk about that? Like, can you tell us? I'd love to hear your opinion on why. I'd love to hear your opinion on if you feel these couples would have made it.
Good point. That's
out of pandemics. Like, I just love to hear your wisdom on that.
So one of the things you asked me, one of our other talks, when we talked about couples and sex and so on, you said, Donna, what is the reason? I remember this question. What is the reason you think that it doesn't work? And I said, Jody, couples come too late. One is already out. Okay, so they're coming and they're saying, fix my partner. I can't stand him or her. Like, just fix him or her. Fix it. I'm already out. Like, do your stuff. Yeah, I'm going to show up, but I'm really not here. I can't stand this person anymore. And now there's contempt and there's defensiveness and there's criticism, and it's already there. It's right. So now throw on, a little pepper, which is called a pandemic, where I can't really go anywhere. We're at home with our kids, and the stressors, right, such as online learning. Like, imagine having, and I'm going to get back to your question. Imagine having a kid with ADHD. I speak to a lot of people hour after hour after hour who have kids with ADHD trying to do online learning. It is impossible. Yeah. Have a kid on the spectrum trying to do online learning. It is impossible. Have an anxious kid. It's impossible. So we have virtual learning, right? kids not being able to manage getting on links and this one and time and melting down and not being able to do it. Kids who can't make friends in classes, going to school, wearing masks, right? Teachers in PPE, isolation, all of this stuff going on. And if they are home, most parents are working.
Mm-hmm.
How you're the example, right? How do you do that? How do you both work at home and have kids who are 6 and 8 who can't manage all this online, and then sprinkle on some ADHD, a learning disability, a spectrum disorder? It's becomes unmanageable. So, yeah, exactly. So think about the couples when you say, like, what is it? One factor is they probably have been avoiding dealing with their issues. So they've been avoiding. Now things have ramped up because COVID, we can't do this anymore. And the extra stressors. Okay, so the stressors are, job loss.
Yep,
The
finances.
stressors are, all day long, parents and teachers telling kids what they shouldn't be doing. Working from home, lining up for COVID testing, going grocery shopping. Did you wear your mask? Your kid's a teenager. You wear your mask. Yeah, you know what wearing your mask to a teenager is? It's like when you tell your kid, okay, you're going to take your bicycle, put on your helmet,
Yeah.
and they put on their helmet, and as soon as they're around the corner, the helmet's hanging by the handlebars. It's the same thing with masks, right? The stress, I mean, think of these things. The stress of living with an essential worker, a frontline worker. Okay, so stressful for the essential worker, stress for the partner who says, oh my God, you're coming home and I don't know, right? Fighting about parenting strategies. So if you're not, think about, like, if you're not locked down, a lot of people either manage this or avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Avoidance is part of the key that couples use when you're not doing well to get through it.
Totally.
Think about also the stress of having exes. So you're repartnered, your ex is repartnered. The kids are going back and forth, but your ex's new partner works in a hospital.
Right.
And your kids are homeschooled, but her kids are at school. It's endless.
Yeah.
Okay. And couples now, what I'm finding is couples are fighting about, we're both working at home. Who's the one who's constantly interrupted to make the meals and to get them online and to make sure the kids are doing their work?
Yeah.
One parent in particular is usually doing the brunt of that.
Yeah.
So there's domestic chores, there's different parenting techniques. So normally, as I say, when couples can deal with this, right, either through avoidance or through less stressful, the stress of this is just ramping it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it all makes sense, right? Like, I know it, I'm living it. And thankfully I have a lot of skills, and I see a lot of people without skills suffering individually, and then the couples as well. And, have you had any couples come to you sort of at their wits' end, totally broken, both, and through this, they've actually been able to repair?
Yes, I have a whole number of those.
Yeah. Let's
Right.
sort of
Yeah.
conclude there with, like,
Yes.
on a positive
Yes.
note,
No,
right?
they go through and know that they're in trouble. Like, here's the thing. So couples know they're in trouble. And the reason that therapists are also so busy is because virtual actually works for them. They don't have to travel a half hour to their appointment, pay for parking, manage the snowstorm. They get on, they say, kids, here's a video, and they get on for an hour. So that makes it easier to access help.
Yep.
Many couples, I mean, I was giving the negative side, you're right, but the positive side is there are couples who are desperate to save their marriages. They're desperate to save them and to learn new skills and to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are doing well. They don't get a lot of time apart though, so they can step in that muck that usually takes them down pretty easily because they're always together.
Right.
But they are learning their skills. They're learning, my thing, how I do therapy is I want to go back to family of origin and understand how they were raised and how they decided to behave. Mm-hmm. Their behaviors we call adaptations. We often take our adaptations into our partner or romantic relationship. Those adaptations do not work. They work there in our family of origin. They don't work in the couple.
Yeah.
So we're able to sort of deconstruct that. And while we're deconstructing that and they're understanding where they get triggered and where they get wounded and where they, right, get well, triggered, then we add on the other skills
Hmm.
and the skill building. And if you're a motivated couple and one of you isn't out of the door, we can make fabulous, fabulous gains.
Hmm. Hmm. It really is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's hard when one woman, or not woman, but one partner, it's usually the woman, wants to do the work and the other one, doesn't. That's where I think things can get challenging, like we mentioned. But when both people are willing to
That's it.
own that they're reactive, own that they blame, own that they're defensive. Because who we kidding, Donna? We all are human. We're all the freaking same, right? We all have it. It's just once we own it and know it, then we can work with it.
Yes. Yes.
Correct?
And you want both people. I mean, it's easy, therapists, I think, have to assess pretty quickly on in the first session the motivation levels. Because without motivation, as I say, couples aren't, one may be working, but the other isn't.
Yeah. So there needs to be motivation, awareness, and
Awareness,
commitment.
accountability,
Yeah.
right? Accountability. This is my part. It's not just, fix
Right.
her, fix him. It's accountability that I own my stuff. I can be a rager.
Yep. So if a couple's watching this and they want to start somewhere, but maybe they either can't afford therapy or there's just no one, the wait lists are too long, where could they start? So I know you have a book and you could mention that, and then maybe a couple other books or tools that people could start with to gain some awareness, to gain some advice if they can't get into a therapist room.
Yes. Some of my favorite couple therapy books. I mean, Terry Real has, I believe it's called Making Marriages Work. The Gottmans have a bunch of books.
Okay.
So John and Julie Gottman. Harville Hendricks has a bunch of books.
Okay.
Um, I knew I'd blank on this one. One of my favorite books. I'll get it to you if you want to put it in.
Mention your book too, Donna.
Pardon? And my book, Becoming Your Best Self. Yes, it talks a bit about couples and a bit about the filters and how to do it. And I mean, there's a lot of online stuff. And if they can't afford therapy, there are places. There's one place actually called TERP. It's
Okay.
do you know TERP?
No.
The Institute for Relational Psychotherapy.
Okay.
They are training people. It's a training center. So they have therapy for individual and couple at very, very, very reasonable rates.
Okay. I'll look
So
into that.
that's also a good start. The thing about reading is you both have to be reading,
Right.
right? Because if one's reading and one's already the one who's motivated and knows a lot of the skills and the other one isn't, right? It's not going to do much good because we're still going to be at the same stalemate.
Yeah, it's true. And
It's
that is, I think, I see that a lot in with my own clients because the women are working so hard on themselves, right? And they're growing and they're getting the tools and they're owning their stuff and they're becoming less reactive and helping themselves through their triggers and all that stuff. But it's very challenging when the partner is either not interested or doesn't think it works or thinks it's all a load of whatever. Um, what would your advice be to those people? Like, obviously, keep going, right, with their own self growth.
Yeah, I think we call it leverage. What is the leverage? And I'm not talking about leverage as in threatening, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to divorce you. But leverage is, I'm really working hard at this. I love you very much. I want this to work. I have learned a lot. I don't want to lose you and I don't want to get too far ahead of you. Could you please agree to at least meeting with somebody once or twice or three times so that we can get back on track?
Mhm.
So that's using leverage. It's not a threat. It's really coming from a place of vulnerability that I really love you and I want this to work. And I'm worried that we're moving, apart in different directions. And as I learn more and I get stronger, and if you're going to stay where you are for future, I'm worried about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's some of the language.
And as we finish, I'd love to hear advice that you have for anyone listening right now, just individuals, parents, couples, humans that have been living for the last year with this, intense external challenges. What are some final words that you'd love to give as advice or wisdom for anyone?
Nice to end on the positive. One thing for couples, I would say it's going to be very important to respect each other's need for time alone. Nobody's meant to be like this all the time. So let's respect that. What do you like to do? I'm going out with walking for the socially distanced masked walk. You know what? I'm going to be playing poker with my buddies online Tuesday nights. You know what? I'm going to take a dance class. Gee, I'm going to go. So respect this, because to be like this, it's not natural. And it's not just like we're, oh my God, it's a snowstorm for 3 days and we have to be sequestered. We're going on a year. Tensions are going to happen. So please respect each other's need for time alone. And if somebody says, I need time alone, don't pursue them. Let them go, and we'll have a time later to talk and debrief and do all of that.
Yeah.
And if you're raising children together, I mean, a really, really important one is to get on the same page around the parenting styles. And in my model, I talk about 6 of the parent states, which are the filters. And you can parent through critical, which is all control. You can parent through indulgent, just give throw my hands up, do what you want. You want to be on your screens for 15 hours a day, do it. You want to eat chocolate for breakfast, I don't care, right? So, let's, if you're raising children together, let's try and parent from the positive side, which is the protective, the nurturing, and the guidance.
Okay.
I would change the attitude, because attitude also comes from the filters. If you are going to think that this is, the worst thing ever, or I have, one of my favorite, I say favorite lines from a client, but to illustrate what an indulgent belief is. I had a client in June say to me, Donna, I've decided I'm not going to be happy until COVID's over. Yeah. And that's indulgent. You hear how that's indulgent? Okay, so I've already made a decision. This is my belief, and so there's no work involved. Yeah, I'm just done until, so there's no internal work. So I would really love people to change their attitude, and we can, because I say we are already equipped with all the pieces necessary to do that. Okay. The other one is, can we come down from perfection? That's a huge one for me, be it a couple or be it individually. The kids, it's not going to be perfect, you guys. The kids are suffering. We know that, right? They're all missing their friends. They're all missing their activities. They can't stand the online. They don't like masks. They don't like teachers in PPE. They don't like being told, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, you can't be doing that. It's really tough for them. So can we lower our expectations? It's not going to be perfect this year, but I would rather you lower your expectations to less perfection and maintain the relationship with your kids than to keep your standards here. And I think screens do I hear this every hour, Jody? Every hour, my kids, and part of me says, look, we don't want kids to be on screens 12, 15 hours a day. But you know what? If occasionally that's how they're reaching out and doing it, can we let that go and bring our levels of perfection down? It isn't going to be perfect. Soon they will be out and they will be playing soccer again, and they'll be on the hockey rink, and they'll be playing basketball, and they'll be back at dance class. It will happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's lower. It's not going to be perfect. And if you take the perfection away, you get a sense of, oh, right, relief from me, right? For me, yes, it's my relief. It's not, and the kids will feel it.
Yeah.
And I really do say, can we practice gratitude? As tough as this is, and I was telling you, Jody, before that, my daughter and grandkids and son-in-law all got COVID. How, we don't know. They stay home. She orders online. She wipes down her groceries. She does curbside pickup. She goes out with masks. She's kept the kids home from school all year. Where did she get it? Okay, let's practice gratitude, even despite that, right? They've come through it.
Yeah.
They have food on the table. They have us to prepare meals and help out. They have a roof over their head. They have, good Wi-Fi, which is really important these days.
Thank God you didn't get it, right?
Absolutely. And so we have to practice gratitude. There are people out there who are standing in food lines. There are people out there who cannot pay their rent and they don't have family to help out. So can we practice gratitude? For as bad as it is, we can always find something to be grateful about. And I would end your days with that.
Agreed.
This is what I'm grateful for today.
Beautiful. Okay, I have one more question. I lied. I have one more just because I have you here and I want to know. What is the best piece of advice you have ever been given on your journey?
Good question, Jody. And I have to answer right here on the spot. I feel like
I should have given you a
Daniel Levy. Have you seen the Daniel Levy thing? It's 39 questions and he has to answer them rapid fire. Somebody gave me the best. Probably, and after we get off this call, I'm going to say, oh, no, that wasn't it. It was this.
One of them. One of the best pieces.
Was, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself that you have the confidence and the ability to do what's best, even if it's not the best ultimately, it is the best at the moment. So it reminds me of Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. And the 4th one is always do your best. I would think that, because that gives confidence and it has your feet planted firmly on the ground.
Beautiful.
Do your best. And if you fell short, then you can always do it better next time, which will then be your best.
Love it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I really am grateful.
Always a pleasure, Jody. Thank you.
Again.
Great.
Thank you.